All right, so first and foremost, we're just gonna take a second. You know what we're gonna do. We're gonna drop in, become present, turn inward, and take on the role of the observer. Start noticing how you feel, noticing the quality of your breath, and just what it feels like to be in your body today. So find a nice, comfortable seated posture. If you want to open up your hands, your palms on the knees, you can do that. Stay nice and open through the chest and just start taking some good quality deep breaths. Sitting up nice and tall, feeling supported through the core, supporting the spine. We're going to really be focusing on that good posture while we're in the sitting position to start. So just start checking in with that, anchoring through the hips. Just connecting, grounding to the mat. Again, turning inward, just observing. We'll take a couple more deep breaths there. Get grounded, feel centered. And then when you're ready, we're going to very slowly bring the shoulders up toward the ears, squeezing at the top, and bringing your shoulder blades together down the back body. Coming forward, squeezing up toward the ears, really wringing out those traps down the upper back. Paying attention to, again, not collapsing in the spine, but staying nice and tall, staying nice and grounded. And just rolling through that range of motion. Feeling your shoulders loosen up. Relieving any of that tension that built up overnight from being still. And you can tuck the chin slightly, if it feels good, down the back of your neck. Otherwise, we'll come back to center, and then we're going to start with the right hand across the front of the body, using the left hand to leverage that. Pull that tight toward your chest. Remember, you're sitting up, you're not slouching, you're feeling supported by your core. And really stretching through the upper back, pulling that right arm tightly to your chest. And then stay synced up with your breath. Your big inhale should expand the torso, give you that deeper stretch. And on your exhale, squeeze a little tighter through that shoulder and upper back. Good. When you feel good, we're going to take that to the other side. So come back to center. Left arm goes across. Right arm will pull that in like a lever, stretching through the shoulder and the upper back. Staying nice and tall through the spine. Your torso still facing forward. So like a little bit of a twist through the torso. Feeling grounded through the hips. Stay synced up with your breath, and if at any time it feels good to close your eyes and just breathe, feel free to do so. Couple more big breaths there, and then gently release. Come back to center when you're ready. And then we're going to bring palms together at the heart and give yourself a little opposition between your palms. You're really pressing against one another. Elbows are kind of outward, just opposing forces, not too aggressively, just noticing what you feel there. And then we're going to rotate the fingers inward toward the chest, and then away from the chest, outward toward me. Just notice what you feel in the forearms. Remember to keep those opposing forces, keep that nice long spine, tall posture. And when you've got what you need there, we're going to interlace the fingertips and then press outward in a way, press toward me so that your palms are opening up toward me. Press a little further, think cat pose in the upper back, really doming through the upper back, bringing the abdominal wall inward to meet the spine. Just getting a big, big stretch through the upper back. Okay, then you're gonna anchor through the hips and slowly extend your hands upward toward the ceiling. Remembering that nice long line through the spine, through the front body, sitting up really tall, reach a little bit further. And then slowly with control, keep your fingertips interlaced and just bring them behind the head. So if you want to extend your thumbs long and give yourself a little neck massage, I like to do that anytime my fingers are interlaced here. Just feels really good. Keep your elbows open nice and wide, so they're really big and open through the chest. Extending the spine nice and long, just feeling grounded through the hips, noticing what you feel. On your next big inhale, really expand through the chest, open up big, nice and wide, nice long spine. And on your exhale, slowly with control, bring the elbows toward one another. Slowly tuck the chin toward the chest. And you're just gonna curl inward, bringing that abdominal wall to meet the spine. Again, stretching through the upper back. So find your range here, whatever feels good on your back and your hips. Not a lot of weight on the back of the head with the hands, so you're not letting gravity pull on your neck or put tension in the neck. Just kind of relaxing through the back, grounding down through the hip bones, and breathing into that. Again, taking on the role of the observer. Notice what you feel, where you feel it. And just try to mentally articulate that. Just notice what's going on in your body today. Okay, then we're going to slowly, on your next inhale, sit up, lift, open up. Bring the hands back down to the tops of the knees. Take a second, roll back the shoulders, address that posture. Try to think of an invisible line from the tip of your tail all the way up through your crown toward the ceiling, nice and tall, nice and supported by the core. All right, then we're gonna very gently take the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Right hand's gonna go around behind you, sit up, lift, and twist through the spine. Again, envisioning that really long line from the crown of the head to the tip of the tail. And if it feels good, look over your right shoulder. Stay lifted and sync up with the breath. So every inhale should feel like a nice big expansion through the torso. And every exhale should take you a little bit deeper into that twist. Feeling supported by the abdominal wall, but slowly with control release. Come back to center. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So right hand will come to the outside of left knee, left hand comes around behind you. Plant your palm, sit up, lift, and twist. Looking back over that left shoulder this time, sinking a little deeper on your exhale. Just feeling that expansion on the inhale. With support from your center, you're going to release, come back to center. Bring palms together at the heart. Take a second, just close your eyes if it feels good. Otherwise, just find a nice, gentle, but tall sitting posture. Take a second to sync up with your breath and notice what you feel. Remember, as always, to check in with your inner dialogue and notice where your thoughts go when we go into poses that are difficult for you. Be kind to yourself, give yourself patience. Okay, when you're ready, you can release the hands to the knees, and then we're gonna take the right hand to the mat. Fingertips are pointed away from me on the right, and I'm gonna slowly slide that palm toward the top edge of my mat, so away from the body. Try to come down onto the forearm if you can. If you can't, bent elbow is fine. We want to slowly, mindfully move to the seated posture. So your left hip is going to want to come up off the mat. Just take a second to get grounded, get stable in this position, and then relax that left hip a little bit more. Relax that left glute, bring your awareness there, and let it just get heavy. Remember that the neck is a beautiful extension of the spine, so just keep that nice and long. You're not letting your neck crunch or letting any tension bring pain there. All right, good. So once you're anchored, we're going to take the left hand, the fingertips first behind the ear, and reach all the way up and over. Find a range that feels good. And then again, ground down through that left hip. Relax it a little bit more. And if you're working just here with a bent elbow, that's fine. Find what feels good. It's going to be a big side body stretch and feel really great through the hips. Once you get there and you get grounded, if you're feeling like you want a little bit more of a stretch, you can open up that palm toward the ceiling and just open up the chest. Look up, really anchoring through the right forearm and that left hip. And then once you're stable there, try to relax that left hip a little bit more. Open up through that left shoulder a little bit more. And slowly, mindfully, with control, bring it all back to center. Good, take another second, palms together at the heart, just catch your breath. Notice what you feel, notice what you felt on that side. If anything went well for you, bring that to the other side. If anything didn't go so well, let's try to address that on the left. All right, so when you're ready, left hand will come to the mat, left fingertips are pointed away from you. Right hand can just rest on your right knee or on your thigh, wherever is comfortable. And then we're gonna slowly, mindfully slide that left hand toward the bottom edge of the mat, away from your body until you come down to the forearm or maybe close to that, somewhere with the bent elbow. Already feeling it in the left hip and the right side body. So get anchored there. Bring your awareness to your right hip this time. Relax that right hip a little bit more. And when you're feeling grounded, take the right fingertips behind the right ear, extend the arm all the way up and overhead. Palm faces downward, big stretch to the right side body. And then maybe, if you're ready, open up the palm toward the ceiling, open up the chest, the right shoulder, and look up. And then bring your awareness to the hips, try to relax them a little bit more. Good, when you've got what you need there, release. We'll come back to center, and then we're gonna roll forward onto all fours. So take your time just to center yourself on your mat, come to a tabletop position, knees are under the hips, palms are underneath the shoulders, feet are extended. We're gonna bring the big toes into touch, send the knees as wide as the yoga mat, and then listen carefully. We're gonna open up by pressing into the right hand, lifting the left hand toward the ceiling. Open up through the left side chest. And then we're gonna thread the needle. Bring that left hand underneath your right arm and come down to the tricep / rear delt. Extend that left arm nice and long. Right hand can either stay under the right shoulder if it feels good, or extend to the top right corner of your mat. If you want a little bit more in this twist, you can also bring your palm to the low back and open up through the chest a little bit more. Or you can take a bind by bringing the right hand to the top of the left thigh, the left hip crease. If it reaches, it may not, that's fine. Just find the variation that feels good for you. So there's a lot of sensations happening in this pose, no matter where you are. So just bring awareness there. And remember to check in with your inner dialogue on poses that might feel challenging. Just observing and feeling grateful for where your body is today. Take another deep breath in this pose, and then when you're ready, bring that right hand underneath the right shoulder again. And slowly, mindfully press up and unravel. Back to all fours with the knees wide. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So plant that left palm and then take the right palm up and toward the ceiling, opening up through the right chest. And then slowly, right hand is going to come underneath the left arm, thread the needle, come down to that right tricep, right rear delt, extend the right arm at the elbow. Left hand can stay under the left shoulder or extend to the top left edge of the mat. Find what feels good for you. And if you want a little more, you can bring that left palm to the low back, open up through the chest. Or maybe even bring that left hand around to the top of the right thigh, the right hip crease for a bind. So wherever you are, breathe deep, leveraging the breath. Notice what you're feeling. Just observe, listen to your body. When you feel good, we'll slowly, with control wherever you are, bring that left palm back underneath the left shoulder first. Press up on that left palm to unravel. You can bring the knees back in to a tabletop position. Feet are still extended out long, palms are underneath the shoulders. And we'll just go through a little cat-cow. So on your next inhale, breathe deep, drop the belly, stretch to that nice long line in the front. And on your exhale, press away from your yoga mat, doming through the upper back. Bring the abdominal wall inward, fully exhaling, cat pose. And then sync up with your breath. Inhale, drop the belly, look up. Nice long line through the front body. Exhale, arch to the upper back, press away from your yoga mat, press into the shins. Bring the abdominal wall inward to meet the spine. So we'll do a couple more of those at your pace. And when you've got what you need there, come back to tabletop position, nice long spine, gaze is downward. We're going to curl the toes under and then just slowly, gently lift the knees and hover. So my knees are only lifted about 3 or 4 inches off the ground. You're engaging your core here, you're staying synced up with your breath. Think cat pose through the upper body, doming through the upper back, pressing away from your yoga mat. Bringing the abdominal wall inward to meet the spine. Good, hold for 2 more deep breaths. And when you're ready, slowly, mindfully, with control, release the knees back to the mat, uncurl the toes. Bring the big toes in to touch, send the knees wide. Hands reach out in front of you. Sink back on your hips, sending the heart toward the mat. Extended child's pose. Bring your forehead to the mat if it feels good. And just take a second to once again turn inward. Notice how you're feeling. Sync up with the breath. You want to roll your forehead back and forth on the mat, get a little massage, it might feel great. I always encourage you, especially in these resting, quote unquote resting poses, to find any easy organic movement that feels good. Your body will tell you what you need, so feel free to explore that. All right, when you're ready, we're gonna lift the forehead off the mat and slowly, one hand at a time, walk the hands off the mat to the left, still reaching. And then when you've come to the edge of your range of motion, bring your heart and head back down toward the mat. And then we're gonna walk the right fingertips just a little bit further, a little bit deeper stretch through the right side body. Once again, anchoring through the hips, just observing what you feel. And listening to your body, breathe deep. Good, then we'll slowly lift the head and walk the hands back through the center of the mat, one at a time, little steps. And then we're gonna go all the way over to the right, same thing. Walk your hands off the mat, find the range of motion that feels good for you, and then melt your heart and your forehead back down toward the ground. And once you get there, check in, and then slowly walk those left fingertips a little bit further. Get that deep side body stretch, that lower back stretch on the left side. Stay synced up with your breath. And then we'll slowly, with control, walk the hands one at a time back to center. All right, so then we're gonna come back up to all fours. If you wanna take a second to sit back on your feet and just roll through those forearm and wrist stretches, feel free to do so. And then when you're ready, we're gonna meet back in tabletop position. Okay, so once we're there, we're gonna curl the toes under, send the left toes back, then the right for a plank pose, pressing away from your mat, reaching full extension at the hips, so nice long line from the crown of the head to the tip of the tail, and all the way through your heels, really reaching the heels back toward the back edge of your mat, pressing away from the yoga mat. Sync up with your breath. And then we're gonna send the hips high and back for a downward dog. So your hands might rotate outward a little bit. You kind of want the creases of your elbows to be pointing toward the top edge of your mat. And ideally, we want to reach the heels toward the mat over time. Most people don't have that flexibility immediately, especially if it's your first downward dog of the day. So typically in the first downward dog of the day, I like to pedal through the feet, just move the hips a little bit, move through the fascia of the feet. Find what feels good. Kind of warm up your hamstrings a little bit. Mine are always tight, so I'm always gentle in the first downward dog. So take a second, find what feels good there, and then come to stillness. And sync up with your breath. Wherever you are, you can bend your knees if you want, you can lift the heels if you need to, that's fine. Just take a second to turn inward. Good, and then once you're feeling grounded, we're gonna ground down through both palms evenly. Keep the left foot on the mat, kick the right leg up high. Good, then we're gonna squeeze and lift the right knee toward the center of the hand, squeeze and lift inside the chest, and then kick that leg back up in the air. Okay, one more time, we're gonna squeeze and lift, except this time we're gonna bring that foot all the way through. We're gonna frame that right foot with the palm, so you're in a low lunge. Good, once you get there, you can just rock back and forth on the heels and the ball of the left foot. Take a second if you want to adjust. Open up through the chest, roll your shoulders back, look up. And then find stillness one more time. Fingertips are just at the edge of the mat, just barely touching the mat. You're gonna lead forward with your fingertips up and back to a nice high lunge. Good, great job. Take a second, catch your breath. Remember that nice posture, that nice long line from the crown of the head to the tip of the tail, big bend in that right leg. And then slowly with control, rain the fingertips back down to frame that right foot. Okay, now we're going to keep the left hand planted. Drag those right fingertips out along the outside edge of the right leg and then open up through the right chest. So hand toward the ceiling, looking up or looking far into the distance. Nice big twist. Good, bring your fingertips back down to frame that right foot. Send that right foot back, plank pose. And then we're gonna slowly, with control, lower to the belly and take our first Cobra pose. So hands come underneath the shoulders, extend your toes out long toward the bottom edge of your mat. We're gonna press up, keeping the glutes relaxed, reaching toward full elbow extension, but if you're only here, you're not all the way at full elbow extension, that's fine. It's the first one of the day. So find what feels good in that range of motion. Your gaze should be forward. Good, then we'll slowly come back to the mat, curl the toes under, press up to plank, and meet you back in downward facing dog. So take a second, take some deep breaths. Notice what you're feeling, notice what your inner dialogue is like. And then when you're feeling good, in any pose, always bring awareness to the nuance. So you're always looking for a little bit more each time. You want to try to meet your edge with every pose, challenging your flexibility, challenging your balance, challenging your strength. All right, so once you're synced up with the breath, you're going to once again press in through both palms evenly. This time, keep the right foot planted and kick the left leg up high. I cannot talk today. All right, bring that left knee inward and upward toward your chest. Think cat pose in the upper body, really tucking it, squeezing it in, heel toward the glute. And then one more time, kick it up nice and high. Full extension of the knee, point those toes. All right, this time squeeze and lift that left knee all the way up and in. And then you're same thing on the side, you're gonna plant that left foot, frame that left foot with both of your hands. Rock back and forth on the heel, find what feels good. Get yourself centered. Open up through the chest, adjust your clothes, do what you do. And then when you come back to a place of stillness, you're gonna lead forward with the fingertips all the way up to a high lunge. So fingertips pointing toward the sky, deep bend in that left knee, feeling nice and strong. Really reaching up. And then slowly with control, bring those fingertips back down to frame that left foot. Send the left foot back, plank pose. Slowly lower to the belly. And then find your Cobra. So press up, full extension at the elbows. Toes are pointed toward the back of the mat, glutes are relaxed. Roll back down with your breath, press up to plank. And meet me in downward facing dog. All right, take a second, once again, sync up with your breath. Find what feels good in this pose. Elbow creases are pointing toward the top edge of the mat. Toes are pointing toward the top edge of the mat. Heels are anchoring toward the floor. Knees are coming toward full extension. Head and neck are relaxed. Shake out your hair if it feels good. And then from here, we're going to slowly walk the hands up toward the feet until we're in a standing forward fold. So if your legs feel too far apart or too close together, feel free to adjust. Once you're in this fold, if it feels good, you can clasp your opposite biceps with your palms, let your head and neck just relax. If you want to find a gentle sway back and forth. Hamstrings might be really tight. So be gentle, be mindful, honor where your body is today. And sync up with the breath. All right, and then when you've got what you need there and you're feeling really great in the hamstrings, we're gonna very, very slowly drag the fingertips along the front line of the body all the way up with just super, super slow, very mindful, coming to a standing posture. Open up the palms in front of you, let your hands hang to the left and the right naturally. And close your eyes if it feels good, mountain pose. Just noticing what you feel. Take a couple more deep breaths. You all are doing great. Showed up for yourselves today and you should feel awesome about that. I hope you do. Then we're going to slowly bring the palms together up and overhead. So reach toward the ceiling, clap the palms together at the top. Nice long line, and then we're going to slowly bring the palms downward, slicing down the middle all the way back to that standing forward fold. Take a second if it feels good to again sway back and forth, listen to your hamstrings. Sometimes when I'm in this pose, if I feel super balanced, I will just like give myself a little massage through the hamstrings, especially if they're sore. My hamstrings are almost always tight. So once you've got what you need there, bring the hands back to the mat. Then we're gonna walk them back out all the way to that plank. Nice strong plank, full extension at the hips. Doming through the upper back, feeling strong. And we will slowly lower to the belly. So find your Cobra pose. If you want to send your hands off the mat to the left and the right, reach full extension at the elbows there. Feel free to do so. Find what feels good. And then with your breath, melt it back down to the mat. Hands come back under the shoulders. Press up to plank, and then downward facing dog. There's a twist that I like to incorporate, and you can try it here if you'd like. We're gonna distribute the weight through the left palm and both feet evenly. And then when you've got that, when you're feeling balanced and centered, I'm gonna take the right hand off the mat and just bring it to the outside of the left calf, ankle, foot, thigh, wherever it goes naturally. The lower your hand, the deeper the stretch you'll get. And then we're just gonna twist and look underneath the left armpit chest. So looking up toward the ceiling, anchoring through that left heel, using that right arm to pull you a little closer. Should be a really deep stretch to the left hamstring. All right, when you feel good, bring it back to downward dog. If you want to take a second, come to the knees. We can roll through the wrists, palms toward you, palms away from you. Find what feels good. Rotate one way and then the other. Give yourself a little break. And we're going to do the same thing on the right. So when you're ready, bring your palms back to the mat. Elbow creases pointing toward the top edge of the mat. So we're in downward dog. And this time you're going to distribute your weight evenly between both feet and your right palm. And then you're going to take your left hand off the mat when you feel balanced. And just bring it to the outside of your right calf, ankle, or thigh, wherever you are today. Now we're just going to twist and look underneath the armpit on the right side. And then bring it back to downward dog. And if you're not there, no big deal. It took me a long time to get to that, so don't stress about it. All right, we're going to finish up with the third set of this vinyasa. So we're going to plant the left foot, kick the right leg up high. This time, bend your right knee and kind of try to point your right heel toward your left shoulder. Open up through the hips a little bit. Try to keep your hips square and your weight evenly distributed through both hands. It might be hard. And then we're going to bring that right knee in, squeeze and lift in between both palms. And once again, plant that right foot on the mat. So right foot is framed by both hands. Take a second, rock through the heel, rock through the ball of the left foot. Get comfortable, find your good positioning, open up through the chest. So this time, what we're gonna do is plant the left palm and open up for that easy twist on the right. So right hand toward the ceiling, chest is nice and open. And then we're gonna roll onto the outer edge of the left foot. Bring that right foot either in front of your left knee as a kickstand and press your hips away from the mat. Or you can bring that right leg stacked on top of the left leg. Again, pressing the hips away from the mat. Building strength. From here, we're gonna extend that right arm out nice and long. And then maybe if you feel good about it, take that right foot back behind you, plant it, open up through the hips and the chest for a little wild thing pose. And when you got what you need there, slowly, mindfully, with control, bring it all back to that plank. All right, lower to the belly. Take a deep breath, press up, find your Cobra. Relax. And then we're gonna press up to all fours. And we're just gonna take a traditional child's pose here. So knees together, feet together, send your hips back, forehead to the earth. And this time bring your hands all the way around and behind you. Just let your shoulders relax. You can leave your palms open upward if it feels good. I personally like to grab my heels or like the inside of my feet. And just sync up with the breath. Check in, notice what you're feeling. Notice your inner dialogue. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side, and then we will cool down. So whatever worked for you on the left, bring that to the right. If rockstar pose felt great on the left, that side plank felt great on the left, I encourage you to find your edge on the other side. Just notice what's different, what's the same, and what's working for you. All right, so we'll bring it back to tabletop. Send the left leg out long when you're ready. And then the right. Plank pose, then we'll meet in downward dog. So send the hips up high and back. Hip points are really pointing toward the back edge of the mat. Heels are really anchoring toward the ground. So walk the hands out to where they are comfortable. Elbow creases are pointed toward the front of the mat, so your hands are rotating slightly outward. And then we're going to anchor through that right foot in both palms, kick the left leg up high. And this time, bend that left knee, bring that left heel sort of toward your right shoulder. Big hip opener. And then once you've got that down, you're going to bring that left knee inward and upward, just like we have been. Coming into that low lunge, left foot's planted, flame that left foot. Catch your breath, open up through the chest, plant the right palm, drag the left fingertips along the outside edge of the left leg, open up through the chest, and then keeping that hand up in the sky, look up at your hand, don't look at your feet. You're gonna bring your foot either to the kickstand, pressing your hips away from the mat, or stack that left foot on top of the right, again pressing the hips away from the mat. Once you're there, extend that left leg out long, neck is nice and long, building strength. And then maybe take that left foot, plant it back behind you, open up through the hips and the chest. Rockstar pose or wild thing pose. And when you feel good, slowly, mindfully, with control, bring it back to plank and back to all fours. And then one more time, we're gonna inhale, drop the belly, look up. Exhale, press away from the yoga mat, press into your feet, bringing the abdominal wall inward toward the spine. Sync up with your breath. And then when you're ready, we're going to cross the ankles and very carefully walk backward into a sitting position. From there, you're going to extend your legs out nice and long, remembering that nice tall posture even in this sitting pose. So my feet are about hip width apart, wherever is comfortable. I'm working toward full extension at the knees. I'm going to take my hands up and overhead, reach as high as you can. Big, big, big stretch. And then you're going to think about reaching far beyond your feet, maybe even beyond the front edge of your mat. Just envision it as you slowly fold forward, reaching far, far, far beyond your feet. And then let your hands come to wherever they do gently. If they don't reach to the bottom of your feet, that's fine. You can grab your ankles, you can put your hands over the top of your feet, whatever feels good. And on your next exhale, you're going to curl the chin inward toward the chest. Let the weight of gravity stretch through your upper back, through the lower back, through the hamstrings. For a deeper hamstring stretch, work towards straightening the legs at the knee, full extension. For a better lower back stretch, you can bend the knees generously and sink inward. Should feel really great. Take this time just to turn inward. Notice what you're feeling. Notice the quality of your breath. Maybe set your intention for the day. Alright, when you're ready, you're going to slowly, mindfully, with control, roll up through the spine, getting taller and taller, rolling back the shoulders, nice tall posture. And you may need to scooch toward the front edge of your mat here. Just bring your heels relatively close to that edge. You're going to bring the hands together in front, palms together. Interlace the fingertips or point away from you. We're going to slowly, as slow as you can, articulate through the spine and lower yourself to the mat. So try to maintain control as long as you can. If you flop down, that's fine. Just listen to your body. And then when you naturally come to the mat, extend your hands up and overhead. Reach as long as you can with the hands and the feet. Just stretch. Do what feels good. And when you release, we'll come to corpse pose. Palms open up to the left and to the right. Try to come to stillness. Listen to your breath, listen to your body. Once again, turning inward, observing. And paying special attention to your inner dialogue. Just remember that your thoughts affect your words, which affect your actions. And all of that shapes the cultural landscape. So if you want to change the world around you, it starts with you. The way you talk to yourself, the way you care about yourself or don't. So just reflect on that as you absorb the nutrients of your practice and feel great about showing up today and making it through this whole class. You all did a fantastic job. I hope you carry that feeling through the whole day. So we'll take a couple more deep breaths. comfortable, if you're comfortable. Yoga is a community, and for some a spiritual practice, so we pay respect to that community by bringing the palms together at the third eye. Taking one more deep inhale together. And with our exhale, saying thank you so much for joining me in this practice today, and I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.